Hello, and welcome to Peace, Love, and Robots. Say it with me. It's a podcast about everything and anything and all that is in between. I actually said that backwards. I'm rusty. It's anything and everything and all that is in between. It's February 3rd, 2022, and I haven't podcasted since, last year. We'll get into that in a little bit. It's not for lack of trying or lack of desire. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. But before I get into it, I just want to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by the ads you hear at the beginning and the end of the show. So if you stick around and listen to the entire thing, don't worry, I won't keep you long. If you listen to the entire thing, I'm forever in your debt. Of course, share this podcast with your friends. Hopefully I entertain you, inform you, something for, 10 or 15 minutes a week. It'd be great. So I am so rusty. It's almost like this is my first podcast ever, and it's not. There goes the music. I could have faded out of that if I wanted to, but I thought dead air is not as entertaining as music. But there's the song. It's been a long time since you've heard that on a new episode of Peace, Love, and Robots. It's been a long time since you've heard a new episode from me, Jeremy. I'm your host, and it's been a while, like I said. I literally had to reset my equipment. I couldn't find the cable that plugs my PodTrack P4. That's a little into baseball. It's a little recorder that I use for podcasting. It has all the mic inputs, and I can play the music off of it and stuff. I had to find the cable. I didn't even know where I put it. There was a drawer. Thankfully, everybody's got those drawers. I've got like 7 of these drawers with cables and all this other stuff on my desk. And I found it without any trouble. And I warned my wife. I said, Michelle, I'm going to record tonight. I've said it like 5 times in the last couple of weeks. And this time I really, I meant it every time. But this time I'm actually getting to it. Because it's been a long time. And it's sort of like if a muscle, you're in bed for a long time and you have atrophy. Now, not like Charlie Bucket's grandfather. I mean, I don't know how he pulled this scam off. Dude was laying in bed for years, and the moment his grandson comes home with a golden ticket, that dude is out of the bed and dancing like a dancing fool. I mean, greatest scam ever, right? But anyway, it's like when you have an atrophied muscle from being in bed for too long, right? And you don't know if you can anymore with podcasting. And there's a reason for that, and I'll get to it. Keep teasing you like you're waiting with bated breath. You're probably like, shut up, just get to it, right? Well, I will. Long story short, I'll make it a short story long, maybe. Maybe this is what the whole show's about today. I don't know. I didn't write a script down, so I'm going to ramble like I did a couple of months ago. But basically what happened was I intended on taking Thanksgiving week off because, nobody's listening to podcasts during the week of Thanksgiving unless they're driving somewhere and they want to listen to that. They might have something to listen to. Maybe they prefer listening to somebody else, a Joe Rogan or an Adam Carolla or Adam Curry or other podcasts, true crime. They want to listen to me because I don't really have a lot to say some days, and so I intended on taking that week off because I like to cook Thanksgiving dinner. I like to bake. I do all those things the week of, and I like to spend time with my kids and my wife. And I'm like, forget it. I'm not going to record the week of Thanksgiving. My listener, or, 3 or 4 of you, won't miss me for a week. But the week of Thanksgiving, my daughter, who's 8 years old, uh, got COVID. And that was, it was okay. Okay, we have to isolate her, and first of all, isolating an 8-year-old sounds about as fun as it was. We had to put her in her own room. We had to basically bring her food, like Quasimodo or something, and she loved it. I bought her a TV. We put a TV in her room, so she had the TV to herself and could do whatever she wanted. Because let me just put it from my experience. My daughter's COVID experience was the mildest COVID could get without being asymptomatic. She had like 2 days where she had like a fever, a little bit of runny nose, and a cough. After that, totally normal, just locked in a room for 10 days straight. Not really locked. We didn't lock the door. She could use the bathroom and all that other stuff, but she had to like be isolated, which is what they tell us to do when someone has COVID. Well, I was a little too late because after Thanksgiving on a Sunday or Monday or whatever, my wife started to get sick, and so we're like, okay, let's take a at home test. We had a few of those, came up positive. We're like, okay, we gotta get the official one for work. She got an official COVID positive test, and so she had to be isolated for 10 days in our bedroom, which meant that my daughter and I now were displaced to my other daughter, who's 10. We were displaced to camping out in the living room, which was fine. It's fine. We blew up an air mattress. I slept on the couch. She slept on the air mattress. We, watched TV, goofed off. She had to be quarantined, so she couldn't go to school. And so that week we were just hanging out, and I started to get sick 2 days after my wife did. And I'm like, okay, guess I got to take a test. And I took a COVID test, and lo and behold, I had COVID. Awesome. So for 10 days, I had to isolate in the same room as my wife. It's fine. Our marriage survived. We actually love each other very much and enjoyed each other's company when we were conscious. But I had to I had to isolate for 10 days with COVID. And to be honest with you, it was not a fun experience. If I could do a Yelp review for COVID, it would get very, very bad marks, poor marks all around for me. Not a big fan of the COVID. For 10 days, for like 6 of those days, I was basically a couple steps above a zombie. Really, I wasn't like craving to eat someone's brains, and I didn't have body parts falling off of me or anything. But I literally roamed about my room, not knowing what day it was, what time it was. Sometimes I didn't even know who I was. Well, not really. I don't even remember most of the time I was on COVID isolation because I slept a bunch during the day, but at night I had massive insomnia. Like the worst insomnia I've ever had. I would lay down at 11, my normal bedtime, and then I would toss and turn, and then at 1 o'clock I'd just give up, and I'd sit up. I'd go to my desk, which is in the same room, which is where this podcast equipment is. And I would turn on something on my phone on Netflix, and I'd binge watch. I binge watched the entire first 3 seasons of Cobra Kai again in preparation for season 4, which, by the way, was awesome. If you haven't gotten into Cobra Kai, it's easily the best the best modern interpretation of a classic movie of my childhood. It really is. It's because it takes the mythology of the first couple of movies and then extends it and makes it modern. It doesn't sacrifice anything for the sake of any kind of agenda. It's just a great TV show. Highly recommend it. Don't watch it with the kids. I wish I could watch it with my 13-year-old son. He would love to watch it, but there's jokes in there that are just not appropriate, and I'm sure I could jump around them, and I probably will at some point. But anyway, I watched Cobra Kai while I was sick, but other than that, I was just not with it for the most of the 10 days that I was on isolation. So basically, I went the week after Thanksgiving, and the week after that, I was sick with COVID and I didn't record any podcasts. And by then we were in December and I was like, okay, I'm going to try to record. And I just couldn't think of anything to talk about because obviously the only thing happening in my life at that point was COVID. COVID was filling my life. And, nobody wants to talk about it anymore. It's just sort of that like it lingering thing that everybody sees everywhere. It's on the news, it's all over Twitter, it's all over our social media. There's people that are just disagreeing about certain aspects of it. Vaccinated, not vaccinated. I was vaccinated, both vaccinated and boosted. Well, I was double vaccinated. I was due for a booster, but I got COVID, and then I got my booster. My doctor said it was fine, so I'm double vaxxed and boosted. But I was double vaxxed, and I still got COVID. So, and I wasn't due for a booster until after I had COVID. So, full disclosure, I did everything right, and I still got COVID. So, take that as you will. But anyway, I didn't want to talk about COVID, but here I am talking about my experience with having COVID, and it really sucked. You know, it ruined. It ruined the month of December for me because it was just always there. I still felt some of the after effects, like walking upstairs is still getting me winded here and there, but that's probably because I'm fat, not because of COVID. Regardless, I just stopped doing it, and then every week since COVID, I was like, I got to record a new show. And then finally, I would be like, forget it. I'm not going to do it. And then January hit, and I'm like, I got to get back on the wagon. I get back on the horse, record a podcast. But I couldn't think of what to talk about. To be honest with you, I didn't have a topic. And I like to have some sort of topic. I like to write a script out. And I honestly, my job, I got a promotion last year, has sort of taken up a lot of my free time. I'm working some extra hours. And I just can't sit at my computer and write out a podcast script. I'm going to find a way to work around that every week. I really am. I'm going to work that out. I have in the meantime been doing some stuff on my Substack, which, I don't have that many subscribers, which is fine. I'm just a guy. You can easily find it if you want. I'll link to it in the show notes, and I'll mention it later on. Been writing. I got a new project I'm doing once a week for the year. I hope I make it through the year. I am definitely one of those guys that starts strong and then it peters out. So it happens with everything, a lot of things. In fact, last year I started a photo a day project. I think I got through February and then I just fell off the wagon. Same with my read a Bible in a year plan. I want to say I got through the Pentateuch, which is the first 5 books. And then I fell off the wagon again. So I'm trying that again this year. And I'm trying this new writing project on my Substack, which is about music you might want to consider. It's alphabetical albums that I want to recommend to people based on the artist. And sometimes it's the album because there's not many artists that start with the letter Q, for instance. I mean, I could talk about Queen, but everybody knows about Queen. But I just... yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm doing over at Substack, and I've done other stuff on there. Written some funny articles. Did an expose on something I was really gotten my craw. Somebody this charlatan liar that I just got tired of seeing lie and not be called out on it. So it's all on my Substack. I'm not going to mention his name here. I might put a hashtag there, but basically I was tired of seeing this guy lie, and I got frustrated, and I did some investigative journalism a little bit and dug into it to prove that I was right, that he was lying and misleading people and fleecing the flock. So it's there. That's on my Substack. All that stuff is where my energy was devoted. And on top of that, I've been in the beginning stages of not even the beginning, like I'm sort of like a quarter of the way through my first draft of my next book, which should come out in November. When I get the first draft done and I go into editing, I'll announce the title. That's my goal. Finish the first draft, hopefully by June. Announce the title, set everything up for pre